Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here with The Last Coat. Wanted to do a prep tutorial video on showing how to prep the surface before applying TLC2. So right now I've already pre-rinsed the surface, which depending upon how dirty the surface is, you can either pre-rinse or foam the vehicle first. If it's just light dust, I'll just pre-rinse it, then I'll go to the foam spraying at that point. But if it's really, really dirty, I would suggest just foaming it first, letting the foam penetrate stuff, pressure washing it off then go into washing the vehicle, which you can then just go into doing a hand wash with your bucket or foam it again and go from there. But for this video, we're going to go right into foaming it now. So we got the PF22 with the last soap in here, which is that there. You can adjust the mixture and everything here on the dial if you're wondering. So we're just going to get this nice and foamy. I'm going to do one panel. So now I got my wash bucket here. You would normally let this probably sit for a few minutes, kind of penetrate the surface, loosen everything up. Then you would go into taking your wash mitt and start hand washing the surface and removing the debris and dirt off of here. And always working from the top down is the best suggestion, so you bring the dirt down and you're not bringing it up and down and causing excessive scratching or anything like that. Okay, so now that we have the surface washed, we will now go to rinsing it off. Again, always good rule of thumb is go from top down. Okay, so once we've done that, now we're going to go into the decontamination portion, which would be using the clay mitt, which is the bare slate clay mitt from the last coat. Or if all you have is a clay bar, then feel free to use a clay bar. So there's a few ways to keep the surface lubricated when using a clay bar or a clay mitt. One is just using your wash bucket. Use clean soapy water in here. You're just going to get it nice and wet. Then you're going to take the green side, get the surface lubricated. Then you flip to the clay side, and you're going to go up and down, and then side to side to remove the contamination. And you will hear it starting to, it sounds kind of aggressive at first, and then you will hear the smoothness start to come out of it as it's removing the contamination from the pores. So just keep working your way down the panel. If you were to drop this or you get excessive contamination in it, just rinse it off in the wash bucket or take your hose or pressure washer and rinse it off. Don't get the pressure washer right up on it, keep it away though. You can also do glass with this as well, so keep it lubricated. And you don't have to put a lot of pressure on here with the clay mitt. Just kind of let it float across the surface and do the work for you. Okay, so now we've done that, we will rinse the surface off again, removing all the soap. And actually, before I do that real quick, I wanted to mention, you can also take the last soap. When it gets down to the bottom, you got an ounce left or so, really not much is coming out. You can fill it up with deionized water or distilled water and make clay lube out of it. So they just show you how that works as well. So all you would do is surely just spray it onto the surface, getting it nice and lubricated, and then you can go right into the clay side and clay the surface. So quick little trick and way to save some product. Okay, so now we'll rinse off. So now we're just going to take our favorite drying towel and dry the surface. And then our next step is going to be, if you were to Now, if you wanted to do a paint correction, you would go into polishing the surface with a compound or a polish. Then after that, you would go to the step that we're going to go to right now, which is what we call an IPA wipe. So 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Nothing fancy here. This seems to confuse a lot of people, but all you literally have to do, and you can just stick a sprayer head right onto the actual bottle itself. You're just really going to spray it onto the surface. You can even go onto the glass. If you can't find 70%, 50 will work. You may just have to do an extra wipe depending on what kind of oils are on the surface. Now this evaporates off of the paint perfectly fine, will not harm anything. That's why we're actually using it. Literally just wipe the surface down, hence why we call it an IPA wipe. This removes any type of finger oils, oils from the polishing, compounding step, any thing that was left over from the soap or whatever you were doing prior. This will get the surface prepped and ready to be coated. So you'll actually start seeing it flashed right here. We have a mixture of water since we're doing this kind of quickly, but everything will actually just flash dry up real nice for you. We'll give this a second here to kind of dry up. Then after you've done that, you're going to go into applying TLC or TLC2 or AMP, depending on, I guess, what products you have. So this is the original formula, and you can also tell the original formula versus the upgraded formula by the color. This one is white, this one is clear, even though they're the same label, also different sprayer head. Blue sprayer with the original, black one with the new one. If you also just have AMP, you can do everything that we've done here and then go into applying AMP, so just to clarify. So for this right now, we're going to apply TLC2. So we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 squirts onto the microfiber. You don't need a lot with this stuff. We're going to wipe it right onto the surface here. What I just sprayed onto this microfiber towel will do this whole entire door. Depending on how much is actually left on here, we might even be able to go into that door if we have that door ready to be applied. I always like kind of trying to work it into a hashtag pattern, because that kind of puts it into the pores of the surface, because paint is porous just like our skin. So now I'm going to grab, we have a wet one, now I'm going to grab a dry one, and now we're going to buff it off the surface here. I'm not going to do the edges because I'm picking up water since we're trying to rush this here. So now that we've done this and we have TLC2 on the surface, man, it's amazing. It's so slick already. It's crazy. Love the way this stuff feels. Now we can let it cure for about 5 minutes or so, and then if you have AMP, you can go into applying AMP. Or if you wanted a second layer of TLC2, you could then go into applying a second layer. You would apply the second layer just the way we applied the first layer. Second layer is always good to do because the first layer will absorb up into the pores of the paint, and then when you put the second layer on there, really adds that extra protection and really gives a level coating across the surface, just FYI. So that might help some of you guys too. So now that this is cured up, we're going to go with AMP. And there's going to be real no difference in applying this versus TLC2. You can apply it onto the microfiber, wipe it on, or you can spray it onto the surface. But a little goes a long way, so if you are going to spray it onto the surface, do one area, kind of buff it around, and you'll feel how far you can push the product. If you feel like you need more because it's not slick, then add more. But don't get excessive on there and then try to buff it off. You'll just make more work for yourself. So that was 2 squirts onto this panel here, and you can see it's working around real easy. Slickness is really picking up. And we even have enough that we're working up here across the door. Now I'm going to grab a dry microfiber, just like what we did before, and we are going to just buff it right back on. And AMP can kind of be used as a drying aid too, so if you spray it onto an area that still has some moisture and a little bit wet, it will help dry the surface as you wipe it across. It'll kind of like flash dry, so that might help some of you guys too if you're out there doing mobile maintenance washing and you know, you're pressed for time. So as you can see, this panel is extremely glossy now. So I hope that helped you all. If you need any other advice, you know, just ask us. We'll make a video for you, or we'll get on the social media waves and help you out. So have a good day, y'all.